Hello everyone, welcome to the Live with Suzi show. I'm your host and producer of the program. Today we are very happy to introduce our lovely Yasmin Fahr, who is a food writer, recipe developer, and cookbook author. She attended Cornell University and then completed a master's degree in food studies from New York University. She's a regular recipe contributor to New York Times Cooking, Food 52, and the Kitchn, and her writing and recipes have appeared online and also in print publications such as the Washington Post, Today Food, Epicurious, The Guardian, Serious Eats, and others. Her first book, Keeping It Simple, was named a Best Spring 2020 cookbook picked by the New York Times, Forbes, and Goop. She was recently nominated for a Webby Award for her video work with the Kitchn. She currently lives in New York City and previously in London and Los Angeles.
So, are you going to put chicken in it too?
I'm not. I'm going to put a little side plate for him.
Oh, okay.
So I know you're not trying any today,
yes.
Right?
Okay, interesting. So I could do this vegetarian style too, just not put the shrimp in it. And put
exactly. And if you want to make it vegan, not the cheese,
yeah.
we could do a ton of vegetables. Like you could add some to it, some snap peas, and kind of make it a little more of a vegetable.
What temperature do you put? I'm back to the radishes. What temperature do you put those on?
450.
450, okay.
They only take like 10 to
Great
12
taste.
minutes to cook.
Right.
Very tangy taste.
Yeah, exactly. That's the feta. I love Bulgarian feta,
delicious.
which is great.
And then this is the presentation of what it looks
I know.
like
Dun,
for
dun,
the
dun, dun.
dish. Right. All
And
right, great.
herbs.
So
Welcome to the show, Yasmin Fahr. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me.
It's lovely having you with us today, and I'm so excited to share your lovely book, Keeping It Simple. What do we want the best? I mean, especially you young people, you always like to do things that is fast, quick, and ready to go, especially with all the busy schedule you guys have. So when I came up with your book, Keeping It Simple, I thought, that's it. This is who I want to interview. And the recipes, you put together about 60 recipes. Tell us about it, Yasmin Jan.
Yeah, there's 60 recipes. All are made in one pot, so like a skillet or a sheet pan. And they're usually ready around 30 minutes or 45 minutes. So it's great for a weeknight when you want something that tastes like you put a lot of time and effort into it, but was really easy to make and tastes delicious.
Wonderful. Now, as I was reading your book, thank you, first of all, for letting me have your book and signing it for me. I feel very privileged, I must say. Also, I've noticed that mostly your recipes are maybe for two people or so. So is it just like for a couple, or if they're having more guests joining them, they just add to the recipe and to the ingredients and so forth, right?
Yeah, they're meant for like 2 to 4. So usually 2 with like a second helping or a serving. Or leftovers. And then if you want to make, if for more people, you can make 2 of the dishes because they are so easy. It wouldn't take a lot of time or effort to do it, to double it or make 2 of them.
Perfect. Now, I also have realized that you added some stuff like for people who are on gluten-free diet and they're mostly into vegetables. As much as I see a lot of pasta, which I love totally, I love my carbs and I love my pasta dishes, but I see the combination on a lot of dishes, like you add pasta and then some fancy, lovely vegetables that some of us maybe not necessarily are familiar with, but you added them into it and they taste lovely. Could you tell us maybe a recipe or two about these dishes?
Yeah. I mean, I think when I was trying to figure out the book itself, I wanted to make sure there was a variety for everyone. And also I eat all different kinds of things like vegetables or pastas. But there's like a baked feta dish with kale. That's really simple. And like, there's a whole salad for dinner section. So if you just want to eat a lot of vegetables or salads for dinner, I really love that one. Yeah, and there's a mushroom pasta, which I love. So there really is like something for everyone in the book, I would say, and a couple of vegan dishes too.
That's very true. Now, before I get more excited about the recipes and being shekamu, as Persian would say, I'd like to know what made you actually want to write this book and tell us about it. Obviously, I already talked about your bio, what you've studied, and et cetera, et cetera. But what actually made you want to sit and write this book?
Yes, so this is actually based on, I did a column for about 2.5 years for this food website called Serious Eats. And it was a weekly one pot column. And so a friend I used to work with, she approached me and asked if I wanted to do a book based off of the column, which of course I did. And while I love having a column, I think there's something about a book that the fact that you can hold it in your hand, like there's like a more intimate relationship between the reader and the cook and myself. So I think I just love the idea of like being in people's homes and, them flipping through it to figure out what to make for dinner. So I was really excited to be able to create something that people could actually hold.
Absolutely. Now, I know, again, reading your book and your bio, you published this Keeping It Simple book, winter of 2020. Now, throughout the pandemic, how did that affect you and your publication, et cetera, in a good way or bad way? What were the advantages and or disadvantages?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's hard to know because, I think my book tour got cut a little short, which I mean, I was lucky to be able to do a lot of it. So that was definitely maybe a disadvantage, but I do think at the same time, people were at home cooking a lot more. And because you were cooking for almost every meal, having a book that was simple and easy to do, maybe it was probably a good time for it to be published. I mean, not that we knew the pandemic was happening. It was, but I think it did help in a certain sense, but it's hard to know because.
No, I was actually thinking that because I personally used to eat out a lot before, obviously, the pandemic. And due to the pandemic and having to stay home mostly, I started cooking more than I ever have done throughout my life. So I bet that's the case for a lot of other people. So in that regard, I thought that was very good of you to come up with this book. I don't know whether it was intentionally or otherwise.
Yeah.
Even if it was coincidental, it was a great job you did because we all needed it. We needed something to help us out cooking and give us some variety because, of course, we all have some ideas of what to cook, what we grew up with and brought up with. But something new and fun is always great to have and gives us more, So that's lovely. And I want to know, before we go any further, now, since this book came up in obviously during pandemic, as far as book signing, as far as, people hearing about it, what did you do? I mean, of course, I have seen you again sending me your bio kindly that you've been on some TV shows like KTLA, which we also put in during this interview. But how did you get to, your book out there and people hear about it?
Yeah, so it was a combination of things. I did hire a publicist to help me kind of organize my book tour. So she was the one who set up the KTLA and like the other TV shows. And then I also did a lot myself. I like kind of blind emailed editors or people that I knew and was like, can I send you a copy of my book? Will you look at it? So it was really a combination effort of it. And then after the pandemic, I was lucky to be able to do some like remote cooking shows. And I'm still kind of doing those for Milk Street, which is a cooking school based in Boston. And I think I was just very lucky. Like a lot of publications picked up on the book and maybe because it was the timing of the pandemic and things like that. So I ended up getting a good amount of press from it.
Okay, now tell me this. I have so many questions. Curious Suzi you have here. Now, as you were making this book, because I see some lovely pictures of your cooking and the dishes you made, did you actually make each of these dishes for this book and then took pictures? And if you did so, who did actually sit next to you and sample them? I wish I was there, but who actually was lucky enough to sample all the food you made?
So I did everything, tested everything myself at least twice. And then I had both professional food writers and cooks and also home cooks, like regular everyday people who love food but don't know a ton. So I had them all test the recipes to make sure they worked. And it was super helpful to have, people who didn't have a lot of experience cook because then I could really figure out how to make this book accessible for anyone, no matter their cooking level. But then for the photos, we had a whole photo team. So a wonderful photographer, food stylist who made the photos the food look so beautiful. So there was a big team.
They all look lovely.
Yeah, so talented.
It's a beautiful book, all in all. Really, congratulations.
Thank you.
Now, as we're coming up to the last minute of our interview, I want to ask you about your upcoming project because I heard some good news, some good projects coming up. What is it, Yasmin?
Another book coming out in June of next year. So it's meant to be, when we're all having people over, a book of spreads, but it can be made as big or small as you want. So casual dining, whether for like 2 to 4 people, 6 to 8, and it's all served on like boards. So very simple, but more meals like dinner, breakfast, lunches, picnics, things like that.
That is lovely, Yasmin. So you've been keeping busy and yet keeping it simple for us food lovers. That's lovely. It's been a pleasure having you on Live with Suzi's show today. And I wish you all the very best. And hopefully when your next book is getting published, we'd like to be there and talk about it and let our viewership know about it. And of course, everyone can go check out Yasmin's website, Yasmin Fahr, YasminFahr.co. That's her website. You can check it out. And until the next time we talk to you, have fun. And you're a great cook and a great author. Love having you.
Having me.